hazy. Hi Dee. Oh gosh, let me just try and get my camera and light. Okay, it seems so hazy. Do I look hazy to you? I don't know why it's so hazy. Dee, I'm glad you're here again. Hello Nick. Hello Sarah. Dippin' Doth. Kelly, hello. Princess. Sorry, having a bit of a moment. Oh, that's no better. I don't know why I seem so hazy. Hang on. Maybe if I just... Sorry, guys. No. Nope, I don't know. Hello, Kira. So nice to see everybody. So how have you all been getting on? Anything to report to me with the work and kind of teachings and stuff, and maybe some embodiment if you're learning stuff along the way? Have any of you guys been having any experiences, noticed anything? Clean the lens at the front. Is that better? Is it my mucky fingers? Thanks, Steve. Oh gosh. Yeah, let me know. Thank you. That's better. Thank you. Ta-da, Dee. Yeah, thanks so much. Have any of you guys been experiencing anything? How has your week been since we last worked on the heart chakra, which is a lovely chakra to do. So we're going to work on an equally important chakra tonight. Kira says, definitely more emotional as layers peel back, more healing. Yes, 100%. And tears are good. Let them flow. Kelly says, finding I get more emotional when watching heartwarming things. Yeah, I love that. That's a really nice way to tell if you are opening the doors to compassion and empathy. So says, feel more and more healing happening. Good, keep it going. And keep doing all the kind of meditation techniques and, that I've been doing with the chakras, make your own up as well, whatever helps you kind of raise your vibration a little bit, really. So yeah, opening your heart. So getting a bit more soppy at films and stuff. So films are a great way. Some, not always, because obviously as humans we are empathetic anyway, or, not all, but most of us have an empathy switch, and films will trigger certain emotions that resonate with our past experiences, so we can feel in their shoes. So the type of film and the storyline can really resonate with us and make us soppy. So it is also a place where we can just ask ourselves, is there a level of healing that needs to be done there because I've been triggered by that movie? That there is different ways to look at it. But Akira says, definitely more emotional too during Christmas. Yeah, Christmas can be a shitter for some people, especially when you get triggered with family and things like that. Just a really quick recap. So the root, as I've said, is so important to focus on as the foundation of the house you're going to build. So all the generational trauma and everything we bring in, all our earliest subconscious imprinting and moulding, is taking shape from in the root chakra with our earliest years. Then we're moving up to the sacral chakra, which is really important. it's so important, the sacral chakra, and I haven't really given it justice on these lives at all. It's such a powerful and vulnerable energetic center where energy can really, our energy can be kind of, I don't want to sound too wacky, but it's where our energy can be, I can't think of another word right now. I am really tired tonight, by the way, so please forgive me if I seem a bit off, but I'm super tired. But the sacral chakra, if it's really open energetically, it's actually where we can be infiltrated, because I can't think of another word right now, but it's a really big energy center that we can get attachments there. Energy can really tap into our energy, and we can be influenced so heavily in that sacral chakra. So it's such an important chakra to work on because of the kind of experiences that we can have there. Intimacy, shame, humiliation, just low self-value can be there. So many different thought patterns and energetic patterns can be created in the sacral chakra. It really is such a vulnerable but also equally powerful center. So it's the seat of our creativity. It's the seat of the Holy Grail. How we can serve the divine as well, how we can really tap into our spiritual gifts. The ego, then the solar plexus, that's where we have to check in with the type of persona we are creating and why we are creating that persona. Because if we are playing out the, let's say, negative patterns, negative archetypes that we've acquired in the root, then the sacral, they get projected out into the solar plexus, which forms our ego and our personality, which drives our desires and our material gains and our power and how we use our power. And then that can all just get blocked and not really, move into the heart really, or not move into the heart. And the heart can just stay kind of closed and not really experience, unconditional love, if you like, and the expansiveness. And as we talked last week about the heart resonance and the power of the heart and the electromagnetic field and it having its own brain, and it sends more kind of neuro messages. The heart talks to the brain more than the brain talks to the heart. And the brain's power is very, very limited in its range and its field. And our heart really does kind of influence. It can measure the frequency. It can influence other people. And we can find a nice looping rhythm as well. We can, using our breath, we can really come into a nice rhythmic balance between our brain and our heart, that coherence. That is really healthy for us to be in. And then we move up to the throat, and the throat is so important. And I'll ask the question, does anybody here kind of understand why the throat might be important? Just give me maybe one or two words that might represent the themes of the throat. Dee says, saying our truth. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, speaking our truth. Yeah. It sounds easy, doesn't it, when you just say it, speaking our truth, and you think, well, yeah, but it's really hard to do when you've had so many beliefs, patterns, whatever. So much can get and stop you from speaking your truth. Jem Max says communication and being true. Yeah, 100%. Kira, finding your voice hand in hand with self-esteem and self-love. Yes. So how many here have had issues with that? Jem says, also open to healing by using the voice. Yes. D, lots of people hold their tongues and don't talk. Yes. And hold their breath as well. Yeah. So I hold my hands up. I've had a massive issue with communication a lot of my life. So does anybody here recognise that they may have had that? Yeah, Kira, vagus nerve stimulation, yeah. Nick says yes. So learning the lessons, because if you're more, Kelly says very much, heavily earthly, lower vibration chakras, let's say, that are accumulating all our younger patterning that forms our subconscious, that forms who we are and how we act, how we think, and how we, face life. That's so ingrained in us from our early years. So the root, hi Heather, the root, the sacral, that just becomes, I've lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was saying, sorry, because I was just seeing who's joining, too busy saying hello. Though when we take our belief system up, and for whatever reason we've been shut down, and we've got a closed heart as well, maybe not fully closed, but a protected heart, it's really hard to step into your truth. Kira says, it's taken me up till these last few years of healing from toxic past relationships to gain confidence and standing in my power and truth. There is so much healing that has to go before we get to that level of safety. So if we've not felt safe in our bodies, if we've not felt safe in our environment, if we've, had these experiences of being vulnerable and being hurt, so being vulnerable equals being hurt, and we've not been able to reparent ourselves, let's say, and do that whole kind of spiritual father nurturing of the self, to feel safe in our skin, to feel safe in our bodies, to feel safe even just being here, then it's very unlikely we're going to feel open enough and actually safe enough. We've got our back, we've got our own back. I can handle me, I can handle life, I can handle this if I speak my authentic truth, and there are repercussions for that, because that's what people fear the most. People fear the most regarding the repercussions that will happen when they speak their truth, because let's just put it in terms of chakra. I know sometimes it can seem a bit woo, and I don't mean it to, but this is about chakra healing. If we have not healed the root, our safety, our security, our safety in our bodies, that, reparenting of the cells, if we don't feel safe in our sacral chakra, where we know we serve the divine, we serve ourselves, and our cells serve the divine, we don't feel like we're living our truth through our ego, through our personality. We're projecting this false persona to the world, and it's not the true self. And our hearts are terrified and locked away, and our vibration is low because we don't really want to connect with other people. Maybe you notice that you don't fully make eye contact with people. You find it difficult. You find it hard to trust. There's some bitterness, there's some resentments in the heart. Then we won't be able to feel safe standing in our truth. And standing in our truth can be as simple as saying no. That can be somebody can just stand in their truth by saying no. It's as simple as that, but it's not simple at all for that person who does not feel safe because of the lack of healing and all the patterns that are playing out still in the lower chakras. Does that make sense? Dee's saying, in August, I actually stuck up for myself after my husband's continuous verbal abuse. I said no more. God, did I feel great and empowered, no stopping me now. See, exactly. And I had an issue with the word no because of the people pleaser archetype that was living through me, and the wounded child and all of that. I had an issue saying no. And actually you can then go the other way. So a person can either be silent and shut down and not speak, which I did, or a person can be overly loud and vocal and outgoing and speak too much and want to be heard too much and look like they have loads of confidence, when actually that is also an imbalance of the throat chakra and potentially masking a deep level of insecurity. So there are two there are so many there's so many questions that you can ask to invoke your throat chakra, but I'll repeat it always. The work has to start in the root. Somebody said about peeling back the layers. Now, I don't know, you won't have done this, you might not have even heard of it unless you've got the book Alchemy for the Soul, but I teach something called the 7 Steps to Spiritual Alchemy, and that is a chakra coaching program, and it helps you peel back the layers. And what it asks you to do is to explore your story through the lens of all the chakras. So what was the story from 0 to 7? What was the story from 7 to 14? And it asks you a shitload of questions where you get to see your life mapped out. So you can see the patterns, you can see the beliefs, you can see the generational shit that's been passed down to you and that you've kind of been, subconscious to living out its way of being. But none of that is the true self. And the 7 Steps to Spiritual Alchemy is a path to authenticity. Because anytime I've coached anyone at any level, it's always been around finding their true self and their true power, because that person knows that somewhere along their past timeline, one of their parents, normally, not always, but let's just say most of the time, one of their parents has given them a wound, not a physical wound, a metaphorical, emotional wound that has stunted them from growing and developing and becoming empowered. Heather says, amazing part of the course, totally opened my eyes and helped me to find my truth. Of course, Heather, you've done the 7 steps, and a couple of you here tonight will be doing the 7 steps in your coaching course. It's an amazing program that helps you find yourself. So I'm probably going to get this really arse over tits, so please go and research it yourself. There is an amazing book. Is it Robert Hand, maybe? I'll try and find it and put the author. I'm sure it's Robert's Hand, and it's The Kingfisher and The Handless Maiden. Amazing stories. And it's very kind of Jungian psychology. And it tells you 2 tales in that book. One is the mother wound, and the second one, the handless maiden, is the father wound. And Parsifal talked about before in different things. So there is a course called Discover Your Unique Spiritual Purpose, by the way. I think it's like 29 quid. It's really worth you taking it. If you just go to the website, you'll find it under the courses, spiritual courses. And it talks about these tales and the hero's journey and the quest that we go on. But one of the stories that is so fantastic is the tale of Parsifal and the Kingfisher. And what's really important about that story, I'm sure I've touched on it when I said about the Holy Grail being the sacral chakra, is that Parsifal is overly protected by his mother, right? His mother has got her reasons to keep her son safe, because for her husband's been killed, her other sons have been killed. You know, they're hiding out in the woods, like King Arthurian times. They're hiding out in the woods, and she doesn't want him to go off and leave her. And she's scared for his life, so she keeps him hidden for most of his life. So he grows up so naive and so vulnerable. But one day, the knights come charging through the woods, and he just falls in love with their kind of armor and, you know, everything about them. And he goes off with them. He wants to go off with them. So his mother agrees, and she knits him a yarn of armor, and she makes him promise. She puts a lot of vows on him and promises and beliefs in him to enable him to go off with her, you know, kind of consent. And one of the things she says is never take this armor off, and don't ask too many questions, and something about women, and, you know, all of these beliefs she imparts onto the boy, and he wears this armor. And his encounters, it represents the Fool card as well in tarot. You know, the naive fool who goes on this adventure, just so naive but open to life. And he and the wounded kingfisher who is in his kind of castle, you know, is waiting for this young naive knight to come along to say the words that will heal him and will make the land he's living in bear fruit again, because it's all gone barren. Everybody's having a party in this castle except him. He's suffering and in sorrow and can't enjoy anything. So, look, you know, long story short, he finds the castle, but his mother's words are in his head, and he fails to open his mouth and speak the words that would cure, you know, the kingfisher, that would redeem his life, that would redeem the land, that would bring everything back to unity and life and fertility, because he's wearing his mother's armor wound, and he still has her voice in his head. So he is greeted with this opportunity, and he knows what to say, but he keeps it silent, and he doesn't ask the question, and he gets kicked out of the castle, and he has to go on this treacherous journey and until another opportunity comes around to go back, because he's gone on this kind of path to mature, to toughen up, to become a man. You know, this is about the masculinity in him. And finding it, and then he comes back around, he takes the armor off, and he is presented with the opportunity to ask the holy question, who does the Grail serve? And to be the one who lifts the curse, let's say, off the land and restores the health of the kingfisher, and everything and everybody is okay. So had he not had his mother's wounding, and haven't we all had that, for good or for bad? She thought she was doing the right thing for her son, but it's somebody else's beliefs that we feel we have to honour and take on as our own. And then the other one, the handless maiden, is the father archetype, where the father owns like a yarn thing, and they spin the wheel and they create cloth and garments, a mill. And unbeknown to him, a stranger comes along and asks him if he would do a deal and sell him everything that is behind the apple tree, or everything that lies behind the apple tree. I'll give you all this money, I'll give you all this gold, I'll give you everything you want, but you must sell me everything that lives behind that apple tree. And it's the devil. And he does a deal with the devil. And he comes in and he tells his wife, and he says, you know, we've got all this money, blah, blah, blah. This is what happened. She went, our daughter is behind the apple tree doing X, Y, Z. So he had been coerced into selling his daughter, his innocent daughter. And the devil comes back around and wants to claim what's rightly his. And there's something about the daughter washing her hands, so it's all about purity. But the devil coerces the father again and says, if you don't cut off your daughter's hands, I will take my riches back. So he cuts off his daughter's hands. So you've got the father, the betrayal of the father, the lack of protection, and the daughter leaves. She goes on her own spiritual awakening. She goes and finds herself and goes through the quest of becoming empowered. So stepping into her authenticity. And you've got Parsifal's mum, who was the overly protective mother, where he had to then go out on his own and step into his own authenticity. So you've got the wounded masculine archetype and you've got the wounded feminine archetype in everybody, through good or for bad. You know, it's not saying like all our parents are out to get us or anything like that. But what they think is right isn't necessarily right for the true soul that's on a quest and will find their way. So it's like we're burdened and we can shut down, and we can shut down through our throat. Because if you think about it, when we're born, the first thing we do is we take a breath, and we come in with a sound as well. You know, all babies sound different, you know. They have their own little pitch and tone and, you know, resonance. So it's really important that we go back and we do the work. 7 steps is a great way to do it. We do the work of de-shedding the layers, because what has actually been passed down to us that isn't ours, but yet is ours. Does that make sense? Sophie says, yes, it does. So, yeah, so it's people saying yes, yes, it does, yeah. I'm just having a look in the book just to see if there are any questions that we could... So, what would you say the current state of your throat chakra is right now? Would you say it's fully open? Would you say it's closed, halfway? How would you describe the current state of your throat chakra? Halfway. Yeah, Dee says open. Joanne says halfway. Kelly says it's about 3/4. Good. So the throat chakra, it's... Heather says, the Witch of Suffolk, it is open. I fully speak my truth at all times. Amazing, good. I'm glad to hear that. So the power archetype I've got down as the wise sage. So the wise sage kind of does speak her truth. You know, it's the wisdom speaker. Gemma says, more than 3/4. I do speak my truth when absolutely needed. So what do you feel for those who said kind of halfway, you know, not fully, that type of thing? What do you need to express that you're not? He says they need confidence, so say things. So what do you feel you need to express? Kelly says, voicing my opinions more. Nick says, I hold back for fear of upsetting people. Joanne says, my own views, but fear a reaction from others who might disagree. Jem says, perhaps to feel safe as there may be a reaction from others when speaking the truth. Yeah, it's so it says, struggle with people pleasing. Oh, I've done my own needs views. I would suggest that I know what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but it's not necessarily a throat chakra issue. It's a root chakra issue, a root and sacral chakra issue. They're where the deepest vulnerabilities and fears lie about conflict with other people. You know, it's the not feeling safe saying how I feel. It's the fear of other people. They are, although we might think it's coming from the throat is just off because we have not made ourselves feel safe internally. So yes, fair enough, you know, situational, absolutely. You know, if you are living with a volatile people where if you did speak your truth, you get your head kicked in or whatever, then it's not ideal, right? And so I'm not suggesting you storm into the room and say, hey, I've got something to say, when it's an unsafe environment. But if it's a normal day-to-day, then it's not necessarily a throat chakra problem that you have to work on your throat chakra. Your throat chakra is in response to the lack of stability you're experiencing in your root and sacral and your solar plexus. So think about the persona you create when you are holding back, not allowing your views or opinions to be heard or put on the table. You know, see that persona that you play, that role that you play, and then check your behavior after it. Check who you become when you've allowed yourself to act that way. Because some people can then become the wounded child archetype, you know, the martyr, you know, all of those, like, your reactions, your responses have a ripple effect on you. So think about when that happens to you and you don't give yourself the permission or the safety or the deep knowing that no matter what you do, what you say, who you say it to, and it goes tits up, that it's okay because you've got you. You've got you. And that's where the work has to happen. The root, sacral, the solar, the heart, the throat naturally open. So everything, once you've worked through all these lower ones in the heart, these just naturally open. So it says, now I'm working on my chakras, I'm feeling a lot more less of a people pleaser. Good. It's about learning about yourself, yeah, and feeling safe. It's all about safety, isn't it? Let's have a look. So I'm reading from the book Alchemy for the Soul. So what about, this is a good question. Okay, so answer this one. What would people be surprised to know about me that they don't already? What would people be surprised to know about me that they don't already? So it says some things that have happened in my past. Yeah. Ditto. So yeah, says Nick. We can get quite attached to... Joanne says, yeah, me too. So we can get quite attached to that, and just because, you know, we could be working on it, or we just know it's still, you know, active and things like that. And it really can be a part of, you know, who we are. Gemma Max says some of my professional life and life experiences. So it's a funny one, isn't it? Like telling your story and experiences that you don't openly share. Just, you know, most of us don't do that anyway. And I do notice that when I did start to share, like, my story and stuff, my throat would, like, go crazy, like, and it would just be like, oh my God, you know, I was just waiting for the voice to break and it to just dry up and just be like, ugh. And all, you know, all the anxiety being built up in the throat because you're like telling your story and your whole body is like thinking, fuck, I'm so out of my comfort zone here. And it's kind of falling into a place where you can share your story and it's not still filled with shame or judgment, fear of just complete, you know, vulnerability to how that's going to be received. So I know how difficult that can be. But for those of you like who are here on a path to kind of, I don't know, change yourself, or even like use this as a career, you know, want to get into like healing, think about how, ask yourself the question, how can I use my voice to change the world? And what legacy will be told about me to future generations? I think those are really two powerful questions to ask yourself. So Dee says, and look how far you've come, having found the courage to tell your story. Thank you, Dee. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, and I'm going to take that. Thank you. And same to everybody here. If you know you're doing the same, it's the same. I've found a platform to do it, and it's kind of my career path. And some people just want to do it in their friendship circle, and that's brave enough, do you know what I mean? But think about those two questions. How can I use my voice to change my world? And what legacy will be told about me to future generations? You know, sometimes really thinking about your legacy doesn't mean you have to, you know, become a big like superstar. But when people talk about you, when you're not here anymore, how do you want to be remembered? You know? Do you want to have stepped in to the person you're actually designed to be? Remember all of the beliefs that aren't yours, all of the like conditioning, all of the labels, all of the, I don't know, whatever you've been through, and all of the also just information that was given to you about life, about yourself, about how you might be seen, how you might be perceived by others or taken by others, you know, all of that imparted into you, really without your consent, but we take it on. So if you think about this tale of Parsifal and wearing his mother's armour, which was just, you know, created this kind of lack of masculinity in him. And then, you know, the feminine wound, you know, the handless maiden being kind of betrayed by her own father. You know, we carry those things, and if we let them define us, we will never ever leave our true legacy. We will continue to perpetuate the shitty generational toxic mold that are, you know, parents, their parents before them, you know, all those generations have just molded out this, and nobody's had the courage and conviction to break the mold, stand in their truth and go, fuck this shit, let me recreate my life. Go back to the beginning. What were my experiences between 0 to 7? How has that shaped me? What were my experiences between 7 to 14? How have they shaped me? What is the false persona that I project? What is the true, you know, the true version of me that I really want to be seen as? How can I really raise the vibration through my heart? And how can I really own and speak my truth, the person who I am? You literally have to find a way to feel like it's absolutely no fucks given. Literally, you have to step into the no fucks given zone. How many people, every person has said to me that I've encountered that have either trained with me or have been coached by me about fear of other people. So it's the fear of other people, right, where we really have to step into the no fucks given attitude. It's what we say to ourselves that matters, because your voice is creating all of the inner, you know, it's talking to your DNA constantly. It's how it's manifesting. It's how it's manifesting your reality through your inner voice and your spoken word. So Soph says, what happens if I struggle to remember things that happened? Then that's fine. You know, it's maybe part of your story that you have forgotten. That's okay. But it's just trying to figure out what has influenced you, what has made you see the world the way that you do. So it's with a sense of curiosity. And don't get me wrong, if there's trauma there, then some, the coaching might not be appropriate where there's unhealed, deep trauma, where you lift the lid, and it's better for, a therapeutic setting rather than a coaching setting, because, coaches have to take care of their clients. Dan says the fear of change and too much of a people pleaser as well. Yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed about myself, just thinking about it now, is that sometimes I feel like I'm too much for people sometimes, and that I can be too, because in a way I stepped into the zone of no fucks given, and I still think there's a lot of me that does have I still have a level of protection. I'm not all kind of, oh, come by all, everybody, nobody's going to hurt me, so I'm just going to, be so open and soft and all of that. I'm still very guarded, especially with men, and, I have a protector archetype, always been, has been with me, thank fuck, and looked after me. And sometimes I feel I can be too no fucks given now. Gone too far the other way. So there's like a level of me that goes, just tell me if I am too much. Do you know what I mean? But what I do really appreciate now that I never used to be able to do is clear communication, is being able to say to somebody, I actually didn't like it when you did that, or I like that about you, or I noticed you do that, it's really nice, or I'd prefer it if we were to be able to, have this exchange. And that is really, really, really refreshing for me. It's so good. And I've learned that through coaching. I've learned that skill to communicate through coaching. So there's always ways to check in with yourself. Like I've literally just checked in then in front of you guys, just thinking about it, because we're talking about the throat, and that it's not all about staying silent. It's not all about like not having a voice. Sometimes it's about being the other way, stepping into too much the no fucks given zone. So I hope this is resonating with you guys. Because So says, yes, I agree with this. The same with me too. I find it easier to communicate. Yeah, because when you are working through all the lower kind of emotional weight that you're carrying, when you work through that and you do the work, you are able to express yourself more open and freely. Because if you do face any kind of conflict or rebuttal, you're able to talk it through. You're not going to internalize any kind of, you're not going to take any kind of feedback or, oh, I don't see it that way. You're not going to take that level of feedback, and it's not going to internalize as a critic or a judgment or, an authoritarian attack on you. You won't see it in that way. You'll be adult to adult with somebody, and not kind of adult child, which we can fall into. So think about your legacy that I just mentioned then. How do you want to be remembered? Because if you think of always two paths, continue on the path that you're on now, and see how that pans out for you and what that life looks like. There's something lovely called the rocking chair visualization technique, where you think you're 90 or you're 100, and all the family is around, and you're in your rocking chair, and it's your birthday, and you close your eyes and you get into the zone, and imagine you're on a rocking chair, and all your kids, their kids, all your family's around you, type of thing, and they're talking about you. They're talking about your life. It's like, how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be looking back and think, fuck, I really wish I'd done the work on myself. I really wish I'd found the courage to step out, to be the artist, to be the painter, to be the actor, to be the lawyer, to be the doctor, to be the, I don't know, whatever it is that you want to be. Do you really want to have that wish when when it's far too late to do anything about it, really? Or do you want to be in your rocking chair with all your grandkids around you, listening to the stories they're telling you about your life, and you kind of like, have a little wink in your heart, a little nod, and think, yeah, I fucking lived my life the way that I wanted to. I didn't let anybody hold me back. So you've always got two choices, and it's looking in the future. If you carry on not doing the work, not finding the way to, you know, energetically repairing yourself, find that emotional healing and balance, and be able to speak and own what you say without internalizing any conflict or internalizing any shame or any judgment or any self-criticism, and just expressing and seeing how it lands, and knowing that you've got your own back. You know, you don't need to crawl under a rock or want the ground to open you up. You know, you're entitled to be here, type of thing. So if anybody wants to make it, you know, say anything about that, they can do, because I'm going to move on to the cards, I think. So Jem says she finds it easier in a professional context than a personal situation. I get that. John says, oh yes, definitely. Some of my chakras are blocked, especially my throat and also my gut. Yeah. So we were just saying, like, really needs to start in the root. The work needs to start in the root and work your way up. Jay Watt says, I need to be able to communicate as I cut people off instead of talking about how they hurt me or annoyed me. What I notice now is I seem to be unable to connect with anyone. I prefer my solitude. And I also resonate with that as well. Deeply resonate with that. You know, there's something in finding out what relationship attachment style you are. Finding out if you're a fearful avoidant or whatever, you know, potentially if that's what you do. Because, you know, definitely know that about myself. I've done that. I've had to work hard through that. And the way that I work through it is by learning how to communicate. And how do you do that? Gosh, there are so many different ways. Therapy, coaching, learning about yourself, really. But really, more importantly, is learning to feel safe. Being yourself. Avoidance, yeah. So I resonate with that a lot. And they're not fixed. Relationship attachment styles aren't fixed. So you can go from avoidance to secure. 100%, it's possible. Okay. So the throat chakra is such a big one, but we have to go through all the different layers first. Your throat chakra is your manifestation tool. Okay. So I'm just going to find out what questions. So we've got message from the soul. Okay, God, bit deep. What messages for the soul? Oh, did we have these? I had a feeling we had these last week as well. So message from the soul. We've got the Emperor. So that's the wounded masculinity. So the masculinity lies in us all, you know. Again, it's, you know, archetypal. It's finding our strength. It's finding our power. You've got the Fool as, oh no, it's the Hanged Man. Seeing things differently, different perspective on life. So again, this is all about your belief systems. And then we've got the Strength card. I have a feeling we had these last week. The Strength card. So this is the feminine power. This is tapping into your strength. finding the way forward, looking out into your future and figuring out how you want it to be. And then the final card on that is the Judgment. So that's the clarion call. That's the that's actually about higher kind of attunement. It's about spiritual awakening. It's about it's like the second coming as well. So this is, in a way, it's like, okay, you always in every moment have an opportunity to be the best version of yourself that you can fathom in the moment. And the more you do that, the more you practice that, just that's who you will become. That is how you reshape your life. So if you feel like you want to step into that level of transformation, just like Parsifal had to go on, just like the Handless Maiden had to go on, you know, you either go the hard way or you can go the easy way. They had to go the hard way, but you have a choice. You know, it's listening to the calling. What is calling? You know, is your soul calling that you're still people pleasing? Is your soul calling that you still have a fear of other people's opinions? Are you doing the work around that? You know, so this really is about, it's the time to kind of have that spiritual awakening. Listen, use your voice as a powerful tool, a powerful manifesting tool. And things can be said in the most delicate yet strong way, where there is no conflict here, there is no aggression or argument, there is just an empowering version of me that knows I have a right to be seen and I have a right to be heard. And you are entitled to that in every situation. So let me know if tonight has resonated with you, and if you've got any questions, just post them here just before we end the session tonight. Thank you, Soph. So if you haven't got my chakra resources yet, go to the link in the bio, grab them. And then we are just working on some new material. So Dee says, another good session. Thank you, Dee. The cards really resonated. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for showing up. And Nick, heart to you too. Do that like the kids. Thanks. Yeah. How do I strengthen my throat chakra? So you probably have to watch the replay on this. Sometimes it's actually not the throat chakra that we need to work on. It's the root and the sacral, and the solar plexus and the heart. It's the chakras that, you know, because each one kind of takes its energy up, if you like, and they can get stuck at the heart. So go through the replay, and you should be able to understand it a little bit more. And Joanne says, love these sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's lovely feedback. I really appreciate it. So I will see you next week, and we're going to get on to a really exciting 2 chakras. So it's the crown. It's going to be the third eye and the crown. So do the work that we've been doing, you know, tune into your archetypes and your spiritual mother, father, the giving and receiving archetypes. Please think about the work that, you know, that needs to happen. Your root, sacral, solar, heart, throat. So if you go to the link in bio and it'll say chakra resources, it's a chakra assessment. So it'd be great to see what chakras are actually imbalanced. It's got a big assessment tool there, and it's got an introduction to chakras guide there as well. Good night, everybody. Lots of love. Take care. Enjoy your week. Bye.